This is the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
Doc here for DetroitBeardCollective.com, Detroit's premier grooming company. Visit DetroitBeardCollective.com for quality beard care products. Detroit Beard Collective is a Michigan-based company that takes pride in providing quality and affordable products for men to care for their beards. Jock uses the beard soaps when his rec league hockey team is growing out their beards. If you're rocking a beard this winter, you definitely need to check out the Beard Butter Leave-In Conditioning Beard Balm. Beard Butter will make your beard feel softer, better smelling than ever before. Go visit DetroitBeardCollective.com and at checkout, use the promo code DSP for 15% off savings. That's DetroitBeardCollective.com, promo code DSP. I want to tell you about our newest sponsor, Team Top Cat Sales. Are you looking for team apparel for your high school, your club sports team, or corporation? Look no further than Top Cat Sales, located on the east side of Main Street in downtown Royal Oak, between 11 and 12 Mile. Through founder and former University of Michigan QB John Wangler's leadership, Top Cat Sales has developed a tradition of selling and distributing custom Adidas team apparel with the highest quality and best service. Get your organization, school, or club team all in with Adidas today by going to TopCatTeamSales.com. That's TopCatTeamSales.com. Also, follow Top Cat on Twitter at Team Top Cat.
Hey, everybody, this is Freddie Cohen of ESPN Radio. When I'm not talking about breaking news or breaking news on ESPN Radio, I'm always a fan and listen to the Detroit Sports Podcast, and so should you.
Thank you, and welcome to another episode on the Detroit Sports Podcast Network. This is the Doc and Jock Sports Podcast. I am the Doc, John Macaroon. Joining me, my cousin, Adam the Jock Strozinski. I'll give you credit, cuz I thought you were going to come in here looking much worse than what the hell you came in here looking like. What's up?
Dude, I'm married to a nurse. She takes care of me, man.
All right, we got to get into it. Joining us, special guest, your wife is here, I think, to shed light on the incidents that occurred over the weekend. Lorraine, thank you and welcome. It's always a pleasure to have you here. Brings us a little bit more class to this operation that we got going on here.
You're welcome.
Okay, cuz,
All
what the hell happened to your face? You look mangled, bro.
Well, as you know, I'm a recreational hockey player.
Why?
Well, because I love it. This is something that me and Justin Rose, we go back and forth about, and we talk about off air when we do the sports, the web show. And I was playing a game on Sunday, and I took a hockey stick to the face, busted up my bottom lip, busting up my upper lip, cut the hole inside of my upper lip, like basically from the your smile, like where your smile creases on your face.
It's not as bad as it's making it sound.
That's what it. That's
no,
what
it's
happened.
not.
And smashed out 2 of my teeth and chipped another one. So yeah.
Okay, now the best part of this story is, were you nicked up by a fellow teammate or a competitor or, one of the boys? Who the hell did this to you?
It was actually a girl. It was a girl, and she was on the other team.
Say what?
Yes, exactly. I don't understand. But this is what pisses me off about the league that I play in. They allow women to play in the men's league. Now, I get it because I checked her. I checked her stats to see like why she's in our league. As she's a younger person. She's I think she's probably like 20 something. But when she was younger, she played on the gold team. So the way our league is kind of situated, it goes by medals basically. So gold is the top. There's also a professional league there's a startup professional league that goes on where we play at. So there's a professional league, and then after that, it's gold, silver, bronze, copper. I play in copper. So it's a slightly competitive league. It's not the worst. It's not the best. It's somewhere in the middle because there's aluminum, there's iron. Sometimes there's a tin division if you're really, really bad. All right, so I play somewhere in the middle, and it's very competitive for me because I'm. Let's be honest, I'm not a very good player. I'm a tough guy. That's what I do. I dig the puck out of the corners. I stand in front of the net. I'll beat people up if somebody has to get beat up. That's my job. That's my role. Anyways, third period, game's tied. Real tight game. My buddy Dave is in our zone. He's looking for an outlet pass. I'm open for a brief second. He slides the puck up to me. As he slides the puck up to me, mind you, he's going from in our zone. I'm out by center. As he passes it up to me, my window now closes because this girl is closing in on me. And as she closes in on me, the puck gets lost in my feet. She tries to check me. Mind you, it's a non-check league, but she tries to check me. I don't move because she's about as big as my wife. So I don't move. I just kind of look at her, and we're jostling around while the puck's in my feet. I shove her and skate away to go get the puck because now the puck slides over towards the boards as I'm going to get the puck. Next thing you know, I'm laying on the ground coughing my teeth out.
No, come on. So she's reckless with the stick, and you're now looking. Do you put your hand, like the glove to the face, and you're starting to see all the blood come out?
Originally, what I thought she had split my lip. You know, like when you get hit really hard and just everything kind of like explodes open? I thought she just split my lip, and I was like, great. She cut my entire lip up. I'm going to have to go get stitches, and they're going to have to stitch me up, basically up underneath my nose. And I'm sitting there, and I take the gloves off, take my helmet off, because I wear a visor, but I don't wear a cage. So I'm sitting, I take the gloves off, and I look at my hands. They're just covered in blood. There's blood everywhere at this point.
This is bad.
That's what I was thinking. So I sit there, I kind of get up to my knees for a second, and I cough. When I cough, I look at my hand, and it's just teeth, just like shards of my teeth. And I'm like, oh, that's not good.
So now does the game end, or what happens now?
No,
They take you off?
Yeah, they take me off. They end up trying to clean everything up because, like I said, there was blood all over the place. I go into the bathroom to kind of see what's going on and just kind of get a grasp of what's up. When I go into the bathroom, I have a chunk of skin inside my mouth that's just hanging. It's really gross because it's all covered by blood. You can't see the lighting in like any hockey arena is really bad, so it's really dark. So you're just kind of looking like, oh, that doesn't look good. My teeth are all just kind of gnarled out, and I'm bleeding profusely. It's just blood everywhere. So
Next call to the wife?
yeah, well, next thing is I
Text
go,
message.
yeah, because I can't really talk. Next thing is I go into our locker room. I start packing up my things, and the guy who runs the facility comes to check on me, and he's like, "Are you okay? Do you think it was intentional?" And I'm like, "Look at my face, bro. Hell yeah, it was intentional. Like, I've been hit in the face with a hockey stick before. Never had this type of damage done. Like, I have to get teeth replaced, and I'm gonna probably need a lot of stitches to close everything up." I was like, hell yeah, it was intentional. So she ends up getting 15 minutes. She gets a game match, which is a 10-minute penalty. She gets a 5-minute for drawing blood, 5-minute major for drawing blood. I got 2 minutes, which I don't understand. Honestly, there's one referee at the place where I play. He absolutely hates me. It doesn't matter what I do. Like, he's sending me to the box no matter what. So that happens. And I pack my stuff up. I load everything up into the car. And I'm still in all my hockey gear. The only thing I don't have on are my skates and my gloves and my helmet. And I got a towel basically sopping up the blood out of my face. And I sent her a text and I said, "Hey, I'm coming to see you." Next thing you know, she calls me. Mind you, I can't talk. I can't speak. I just sent a Snapchat to her to show her that my face is all mangled. And that never actually went through. It didn't go through till I think I had left the ER. So I send her a text and a snap, and I'm on my way there. She calls me. She's like, "What's going on?" I said, "I got hit in the face with a stick. Face is all busted up. I'm on my way to see you." Show up at the ER. This is the best part about having...
Wait. So he sends me the text message, and then he makes it sound like half of his face is just hanging off, like half of the lip.
I had that piece of skin in the back. That freaked me out.
So he's just making it sound like, oh, my teeth fell off. And then I'm like, well, did you bring your teeth? No, I didn't bring my teeth. And I'm like, well, you need your teeth, because to my understanding, I thought that he fell like from the root, and if it falls out from the root, you can put it back in. And
by the way, my wife's
reattaches.
foreign. That's why she has a little bit of an accent.
Shut up.
So you get the news, Lorraine, that Adam has messed up his face. What's the first thing you're thinking? Like, God darn it, this guy.
I don't even know what I'm thinking anymore. At that point, I'm just like, he's an asshole, and he needs to freaking get a cage and stop playing hockey. One of the two.
So you've told Adam, like, listen, man, you're playing a sport that's really kind of dangerous. You have a job where you're using your voice and your face and all that kind of stuff. You need to be, keeping everything in order. So you probably told him before, hey, man, get with the cage and protect yourself.
We already got into an argument where he needed to get a cage, and he fought me on it, but got a visor. And I said, okay, that's whatever. That was after he got hit.
I got 2 pucks to the face, basically right underneath the eyes. And she was like, "You're gonna get a cage."
I'm not gonna keep married to a pirate, so he got the visor.
Yeah,
but now we went yesterday and we bought him the cage, which he's very ecstatic about.
Let me get back to the story though. So I show up at the ER, and she's great. She has all the medical staff waiting for me. I walk in.
Well, the reason why is so, like Adam says, I'm foreign, and people think that I'm very.
She's violent.
I am not violent.
Let's be honest.
I'm not
assertive.
I'm not violent.
She's Latino and she has a very short temper.
I'm not violent. There's
a lot of yelling that goes on in our household.
There was not a lot of yelling going on. Anyway, so I have this friend at work, and she literally thought that when he walked through the door, I was going to pull out a what is the thing called, a rolling pan, and just
Rolling pin.
and just knock him in the head with it and get the other teeth out. Because when I was on the phone with him, he started yelling at me, which I don't understand why.
Because she wanted me to talk to her, and I couldn't.
And
talk.
I was trying to understand what was happening. So I got pissed, and then she started spreading rumors to everybody that was over there that I was going to beat his ass. So once he walks through the door, they're all like hovering on top of us to make sure to be like, what is going on? It's like, well, just make sure that you're not going to fight him.
All right, so you guys are making sure that okay, Adam is all set up. You get the doctors ready, and
So
now when
I
you see
call-
him, you're like, "Come on, man, that's nothing. You just got to cut lip."
No, when I saw it, I'm like, I just didn't put any gloves on or anything. I mean, he's my husband, I don't care. But I just like
Infections.
got
You're
my
good.
hands like right up on his mouth, started looking. I'm like, you made it sound like it was so much worse. It's like, it's not that bad. And I'm like, no, I mean, it's bad, but it's not as bad as you made it sound.
Honestly, guys, if you were bleeding as much as I was bleeding, and you had
it's just your
Was that-
mouth
was-
is just very vascular. There's
that's
nothing
fine.
wrong.
With that piece of skin that was hanging out, was that not gross?
It wasn't
Oh, that was gross.
really. You talking to me about what's
Yeah,
gross
it's
and what's
true.
not gross?
So if you were just a normal person and you had 2 of your teeth just busted out and you're bleeding all over the place and you've got a massive cut, like you can see the cut on the upper lip that you have where it just like it opens up and it closes and opens and closes, and you see that, and then you have this giant piece of skin that's hanging there and it's just covered in blood, you're gonna be pretty grossed out. On top of it, your bottom lip is bleeding as well. You'll be a little bit freaked out.
So Lorraine, you're an ER nurse, correct?
yes.
Okay, so you've seen a wide range of injuries from a lot of different hockey players,
She worked-
basketball.
She
Yes.
worked at a hospital in Pontiac where she called me and she was excited. She was like, I just seen the coolest thing. I said, what? She said, a guy got chopped up with a machete and I had to put him back together. So that's kind of what I'm dealing with here, bro.
See, so in terms of what Adam's bringing to the table, you're like, come on, bro, man
Didn't
up.
put him back together. But anyway, so there's this doctor that works there that has seen Adam's butt when Adam was having butt problems with his abscesses. And I just call him. I'm like, hey, can you
Adam's
come,
back.
We never,
Can you come check
We
him
never
off?
talked about that on the podcast.
Oh,
by the way.
sorry. There you go. Anyway, so the doctor comes over, and is checking him out and just introduced to him and tells Adam, like, make sure that I don't see any more body parts of yours at the end of it because,
Yep.
he's tired of it. But turns out he only needed one stitch on the bottom lip, and then
They cut that giant chunk of skin away and they're like,
cut a
there's nothing
giant
we can
chunk
do
of
with that.
skin. Yeah, I just got to let it heal. And I got him in a dentist the next day.
You got a cage, and you're like, okay, I know it's tough for hockey players to go from like, full visibility without any masks or visors, but now you got the cage and you've put it on, and you're like, you already told me, like, I already hate it.
I hate
Why?
it.
It's
Absolutely
safety.
hate it.
Why don't you like the cage?
Here's the thing. When you start playing hockey, you usually have to start wearing a cage at a very young age. You have to wear it till you turn 18. So the moment I turned 18 and I could take my cage off, I was like, I'm never wearing one of these ever again. I don't care what the situation is. I'm never wearing one. I took it off. I never wore one until I got 2 pucks in the eye. Got one and I was like, all right, no big deal. Got another one and it came much closer than the other one to actually blowing out my entire eye. So at that point, me and the wife had that argument and she was like, you're getting a visor. So now I wore a visor.
I wanted a cage.
And I absolutely hate the visor because it fogs up, you sweat on it, it becomes very difficult to see. What it is, it's all about vision. You can't see as well with them as without them. So the visor is fine. You get used to it after a while, but there are certain things that really suck. So like if you're on the bench and say you get checked from behind or say you get hit or something and you have sweat on your face and then it goes onto your visor. You try to wipe the visor out. All it does is it fogs up and it just kind of makes it real cloudy. It's very difficult to see. It becomes a pain in the butt. So now you have to wear this the rest of the game like this. It's just a pain in the butt because you don't have the cleaner. You don't have the stuff on the bench. That's another thing. You now have to buy a special cleaner to clean the visor because if you use Windex, you use Fantastic 409, any type of household cleaner, what it does is it eats away at the film that's around it. There's like a special sheath that goes around it that's supposed to be, that protects it and supposed to keep it from anti-fogging, which doesn't work. So
It does work. He uses everything that he's not supposed to use on his.
I don't use anything on it.
You
That's why the
used
visor looks good.
Windex on the first visor and destroyed the protective layer on it that's supposed to not make it fog.
So now we get a cage. I wore the cage yesterday at the hockey place when they put it on for me. And like I can already tell I absolutely
He had it on
hate
for like 10 seconds and he's
absolutely
already
hate it.
throwing a fit.
Because it interferes with your vision. The way
Because
where
you
the,
have to learn to focus far away,
with
not
the way the
close by.
bars come down, it's like, it basically take 2 hands and put them up by the corners of your eyes.
Except
right?
that the visor is a
And
lot, the
it's-
cage is a lot thinner.
It's what it's like looking through it. You almost get tunnel vision, and then if you look for your through your peripheral, you're just kind of
Peripheral?
that. it's all weird, man. It's like trying to learn how to do something over again. It just sucks.
Okay, so the most important question, did the boys hip check the girl and take her out of the game?
The girl was removed from the game, so that didn't happen. The thing now is
She got a marker on her, like, next time you guys play her?
But I did
she wants to fight her.
I want to go and I want to fight him.
She wants to fight her.
Yes, that's what I'm talking
So-
about.
And if I don't get to fight her, I want him to go and I want him to like check her really hard to the point.
See,
where she
here's the
falls
thing,
down and
right?
hits her hair.
Really this is what
violent to the
happens,
ground.
right? This is why I don't understand why they allow women to play in the men's league. Because as a guy, how do you now go and you play against a girl? You can't lean on them as hard as you could a guy.
Yes,
you
you can if she's playing with the guys.
This is the thing too. Women feel like they can take all the liberties in the world when they play against the guy, because that entire game she was checking, which is not allowed. Believe me, I get penalties for it all the time. She was checking, she was slashing, she was going at my ankles when I was in front of the net the entire game. So like, I'm like, what are you doing? Like, just play the game. Just play. Like, you don't have to be cheap and dirty. So then she ends up knocking my teeth out in the end, right? It puts you as a man in a very awkward spot because, yes, now everybody wants retribution, right? Like, one, you're going to cost me a ton of money in medical bills because I've got to have a whole lot of mouth work done here. And two, what you did was an unwritten rule. You don't ever hit somebody in the face like that. Not with a stick. You can hit them in the face with your fist. If she wanted to punch me in the face, that's fine. That's fine. Wouldn't be the first time I got punched in the mouth. That's okay. But you don't do it with a stick.
Yeah, so it sounds like she's not standing there watching you, putting her, like, getting on one knee and checking on you. She's probably just goes off to the bench and is like, oh, well, I did what I did. It's not like she's, like, expressing any remorse or checking on you or
No,
nothing.
there was no remorse. And the best part was, after I got my face, I guess her boyfriend plays on that team, because I was finding all this out as the story was going on, and I was like rolling around on the ground. Her boyfriend's over there, like standing over me, telling me to stop milking it and to man up. And I looked up and I was like, seriously? And I smile at him with just like no teeth and just blood everywhere. I'm like, milking what? Like, I'm the last dude to milk an injury.
You should have got up and punched him in the face.
I wanted to. Believe me, I'm the last dude to milk an injury. My job on the floor is to be the tough guy. That's what I do. I go to the net, I get hit with the puck, I get slashed. I do all the bad things that other guys don't want to do, and I do it willingly. It's fine. It's what it is. It's what I bring to this team because I know I'm not talented enough to do other things.
Okay, so the final point's got to be, and maybe Lorraine will assist me in this argument. Bro, why don't you just hang him up? I mean, I know you're young.
You sound like my mom now.
Yeah, I'm saying you're in your mid-30s. You got a lot of other things going on. You're successful in other areas. You need, you need your voice. You need your face. You are a weekly guest, a bi-weekly guest on a show that shows up on the web.
I know. My TV career is now over, by the way.
So you have to kind of now take into account that, hey, maybe it's time to hang up the skates and find another athletic venture to get that out of you. I mean, it might be time, man, to hang them up. I mean, if you're getting checked by ladies that don't know what they're doing, and what purpose is this serving for you to get out and play rec league hockey now in your mid-30s when you got really a lot more to lose than really the joy of playing and being competitive?
Some of the best friends I've ever made in my entire life have come through rec league hockey. My goaltender and one of my defensemen I've known since I was, I don't know, maybe 10. All right. And then you accompany that with the guy who, the way we kind of look at things, we look at it like it's a family tree. And basically there's me, I'm the captain, and things sprout off of me, right? So this other guy, Mike, that's on our team, he has his own family tree within the family tree. So like the next wave of guys on this team all came from Mike. I met Mike through playing drunken indoor soccer, right? So like I made a really good friend there. And then through him, I made friends with Dave and Crane. And then I had another buddy who doesn't play on the team anymore. I made a good friend, Johnny, through him. So like I've made all these friends through all these guys that I play with.
They're not going to go anywhere. They'll still hit you up on send you funky text messages during our podcast.
They do all the time. But the thing is, that Sunday, that is our time together. That hour to maybe 3 to 5 to 6 hours that we spend after at the bar together. That's our time. That's what we do. It's how we get together. It's that one day a week that we all know that we're penciled in. Everybody's showing up for that day. And that's what it is. It's more of a camaraderie thing. It's more of a friendship thing. And some of the best friends I've made are through playing hockey, man.
And all kidding aside, though, I understand completely. It's camaraderie. You get a chance to hang with the boys. It's competitive. You get your competitive juices out. And even though it's a minor setback, you should keep doing it, bro. I would never let you tell you not to do that. That's unbelievable. I know Lorraine.
She's giving you the death glare
I know.
right now.
I'm not.
Now, Lorraine,
You can do whatever you want to do.
Yeah, have you come close to saying, listen, Adam, it's time? Have you come close to saying it?
I am not the person that would tell him what he can and cannot do.
Not to tell him, but say, hey, come on, what's up with this?
He needs to make up that decision on his own. But I do.
That's my mother.
But I do need him to protect himself if he is going to keep doing it.
Exactly.
I have no problem with him doing it. I really don't. I don't care. But he just needs to make sure that he's going to be okay.
Exactly. And
I
that's
got a
what we
sexy chipped tooth now.
And dude, man, you put that on. You put that on Facebook, man. Save us, man. We're all scrolling. I'm like, oh, look at your mean mug.
For like 2 days, that was everybody's number one because everybody kept commenting, so it kept popping up to the top of their news feed. It was just me, just bloody and gross.
Okay, so maybe we'll do a little poll on our Twitter page at Detroit Podcast. Lorraine, thank you for being a good sport.
You're welcome.
I know that you care about Adam a lot, and he's lucky that you got connections and can fix him up when he gets all tore up. But we'll try to keep him safe going forward. Thank you for coming in here. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
We got now your second drop. I think we're going to use one of those clips that you said to us today in future shows. We haven't used
hers or mine.
Hers said you are an ass. You are an asshole.
Oh yeah.
Oh, Lord.
Feel free.
We'll do it. All right, Lorraine. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Yep. He's an asshole.
Well, now that we got your injury out of the way, you look okay. I thought you would come in looking much worse with a swollen lip and cut up, but you've healed pretty good. So far, so good. So you got new teeth. You're working with a new grill, and actually it does make you look a little bit better. You went from like a 6 to a 6.1.
No,
Good
okay.
job.
Well, yeah, this is a step up, right? Certain words I say just sound funny now.
All right.
You ever have something foreign in your mouth, like for a long period of time?
Oh, we don't play that.
You're gonna use this as a drop, I know you are. But it's like if anybody has ever had like fake teeth or just something weird in their mouth, you can feel it, and it's so annoying. It's so weird. Like these two teeth are I just want to pull them out because they don't feel right.
All right, this podcast, we got a lot to get to. We're going to talk about the Tigers, some news and notes from Tigers Fest. We're going to play around to the Doctors in Session, and we'll end the podcast with some talk about the Pistons, who are, man, again, as we roll along, a team that is infuriating. Just like the Red Wings, they're just a tough watch because you see the potential, and then when you see the final product, game in, game out, it's tough to watch if you're a sports fan. We'll get to all that and a lot more on this episode 129 of the Detroit Sports Podcast. All right, cuz, so the Detroit Tigers had the annual Tiger Fest, something I've never really gone to. I'm thinking now that I got a young nephew who loves baseball, next year or so I will get down there and join the festivities, hang out with the fellas, get some maybe pictures, autographs, get down there, get the vibe of what goes on down there. We got a lot of fans that were tweeting us like, I'm excited. They were tweeting us pictures from the event, and I always greatly appreciate that, all the people that share with us on our Twitter page at Detroit Podcast. But the interesting note that came about early on was the talk that a lot of the Tigers are saying, you know what, we're going to put our nuts on the table. We're going to say, okay, we're going to put all the pressure on ourselves, and we're going to say that, you know what, Mike Ilitch has committed financially to this team, signing 2 guys for 9 figures, only the second team ever to do that now, behind the New York Yankees in one offseason. They've added great players. They've got a lineup that can be really dangerous offensively, but they've said World Series or bust. This is a time for us that we got to have expectations that says this season will be a disaster if we don't win the World Series. I don't see that with this team. I think it could be a playoff team. It could be a team that contends night in, night out, but I don't see, as we're sitting here, that you could say that this is a World Series team.
You know, the way that this lineup is stacked, it has to be a World Series or bust team. Can you recall in your lifetime a better roster on paper than what we're looking at right now? I know there's a couple parts that you might want to interchange with some of the pieces that we've lived through. I think you would take Lou Whitaker over Ian Kinsler, right? I think you could possibly make an argument to get Curtis Granderson as your center fielder over the platoon that'll be out there. But other than that, there's not many holes on this roster. I know Nick Castellanos is a sticking point for a lot of guys because sometimes he's inconsistent at the plate and his fielding is just awful sometimes. But who else do you want at third base? Because when he's on fire and he's hitting, I mean, the guy's a 270, 280 hitter. I know that his fielding is just reprehensible sometimes, but if that can get better, honestly, this is a World Series or bust roster. It has to be, because how many more times are you going to be able to go out, spend this kind of money? And I guess Mike Ilitch does it every year. Every year we say the same thing. How many times can we spend this much money? How can we keep doing this? How? And he just keeps somehow recycling the dollar bills and keeps pumping them into this lineup. But the way this is set up and the way they're rolling this out, this is probably the best bullpen that we've seen in a long time. Since Dave Dombrowski's taken over, this is probably the best bullpen we've seen since then. If you look at the starting rotation, if Anibal Sanchez, which is a big if Anibal Sanchez can stay healthy, and there is something left to Mike Pelfrey, which none of us believe there is, that could be a very dominant starting rotation. If you go up and down this order, I know it's a lot of righties. It's just powerful. Every one of those guys can basically net you anywhere from 15 to 35 home runs every single season. This has to be a World Series or bust roster, and this has to be probably the best roster we've ever seen in our entire lifetime.
That's a realistic goal, but you're cool with them saying, okay, this is what we expect from this lineup, from this team collectively pitching, the offense, defense, that this team should now in 2016 go out there and win a World Series. You're okay with that expectation?
Well, I think that's been the expectation for the last 5 years.
I thought they took us a real serious step back in 2015. And obviously, they're putting the blame on the bullpen. Injuries, a lot of things happened.
You had bullpen issues, you had injury issues. I don't believe that the coach, that the manager is World Series caliber. I don't believe that. I believe it's very similar to sitting there spending all your money on a Corvette body and then putting a Ford Pinto engine in it, and you're like, oh look, it's a Corvette. No, it's not. No, it's not. Like that's bootleg, bro. Like that's bad. It's real bad. So I think there's a lot of growing pains that Brad Ausmus had to go through last year. I think listening to him speak at Tiger Fest, it sounds like he has a little bit of a better grasp on what's going on now and what to do. It'll be interesting to see how this year plays out. With this lineup, it takes a lot of control out of his hands, because what do you do? Honestly, what do you have to do? You just roll the balls out there, roll the bats out there, and you say, go play, boys. That's all you have to do. You make sure that nobody kills anybody in that locker room if they get heated about who gets the last taquito. That's the only thing you have to do. That's all you have to handle.
Okay, now you asked, is this one of the best rosters assembled? It has the potential to be a solid offensive team. You know, you got, Murderers Row there. You're going to go Miggy. You're going to have JD, Justin Upton, Victor Martinez. It's going to depend on health. It's going to depend on if Miguel Cabrera and Victor Martinez can last 162 games. Last year they didn't, and you saw what happened because of it. Now you got JD Martinez and Justin Upton in there, and they're going to, benefit from having each other in the lineup. And the lineup, when you look at it all together, looks outstanding, but it has potential. Now, in terms of the history of the Tigers, the 84 team was solid. 87, they had a great team. The 2006 World Series team had some offensive punch with Pudge. But yeah, this team can put up serious numbers if everyone plays up to form and if everybody is, performing at the peak level that we're all expecting. But again, you could have injuries, you could have slumps. I mean, it was put out right away by the likes of Buster Olney, by others in the media, that this lineup last year, if this lineup was, they looked at the stats from last year in 2015, over 500 strikeouts, you have a boom or bust scenario, and these guys are going to swing for the fences. And Miguel Cabrera responded to Buster Olney. He's like, we're going to play in a division with Cleveland, Kansas City, Minnesota, Chicago. Yeah, we're going to strike out a lot. I wasn't real thrilled to read something like that, but yeah, they're going to swing for the fences, and there are going to be probably nights where you're going to see a lot of strikeouts, but I'm hoping that the talent will come through, that not only will they hit a lot of home runs and drive-in runs, that they will also bat for average, get guys across, because just like in baseball, when you get to the playoffs, small ball really reigns, supreme, where you got to get, base runners on and get them over. And so choosing when to bunt correctly, when to sacrifice, and when to get the guys over instead of going for the long ball. I like the overall philosophy of the 3-run home run. It's just super hard to execute.
Where do you think Justin Upton's going to be slotted on this batting order? Because I think he is the key for how a lot of this works out and how this kind of turns out. I think that we're going to have Ian Kinsler maybe lead off, and then your two holes kind of up for debate. Would it be Justin Upton? Would it be a guy like Jose Iglesias? Who do you want to put there? I think probably Justin Upton goes too. And that right there alleviates a lot of pressure, because now you've got Miguel Cabrera batting behind you. So you can sit there. You don't have to sit there and carry the load and be the all-star on a team. You can go out there, you can sit there, hit for average. If you get the occasional pop and it goes out of the park, hey, great, no big deal. Miguel Cabrera is batting behind you. You know what he's going to do. Miguel Cabrera, you can just pencil him in. The big question here is Victor Martinez. How healthy will Victor Martinez be? What's he going to be like? Is he going to get up there in a wheelchair? Is he going to have somebody holding him up because his legs want to collapse underneath him? What is Victor Martinez going to be? If Victor Martinez can come back and be healthy, I think that's a totally different story. You've got a guy who can give you power, who can give you punch, who can sit there and knock runs over the plate. He'll have trouble getting down to first, but once he gets there, he's all right, you know?
So now look, if you look
After that, you got what, JD?
Mm-hmm.
And then you can kind of pencil the rest of it all in. You got Castellanos, you can go Iglesias if you want. You can go Maben,
You can mix and match.
McCann. You can kind of, the end of the roster can just kind of get filled out. But I think, like you said, that murderer's row, I think by putting Justin Upton in at number 2, it alleviates a lot of pressure for him, because you got to realize every place he's ever been, he's been the stud. He's been the star.
Yeah.
You now come to a team with a guy like Miguel Cabrera. You got Ian Kinsler, who I don't care what anybody says. That guy, he might not be on Miguel Cabrera's level, but he is a star. He is a stud. All right. You got a lot of flash with Jose Iglesias. You got Victor Martinez, who's older, but he's tried and true. I mean, the guy's basically done it all. You know, JD Martinez, who I think is coming into his own and who I think will be that next superstar. So he's on a all-star caliber lineup, especially with the batting order. Now you look at pitching. I mean, you got Justin Verlander, who's a star in his own right, and he could probably star for some naughty movies with some of those pitchers that came out last season. I mean, let's be honest. You know, you got Anibal Sanchez, who's a beast when he's healthy. You got Daniel Norris, who gets a lot of pub because he lives in a van. So, I mean, this is a star-studded lineup. And I think that alleviates a lot of pressure off Justin Upton, which I think helps him feel more comfortable. And I think he will be the key that kind of turns everything with his batting order.
A lot of people have Justin Upton slated second. And again, when you look at the lineup, yeah, you're going to go Justin Upton, Miguel Cabrera, JD, then Victor. 6 through 9 is where you're going to have guys step up again. Nick Castellanos, James McCann, Iglesias, Maben, all are projected. I mean, Iglesias is the guy that's closest to project to hit around 300.
Mm-hmm.
The only guy for sure that we can count on and say, based on his career, that's going to hit 300 or more is Miguel Cabrera. Everyone else is in that 250 to 300 range, and, you know, you could have situations where there's going to be lulls in that lineup. Good pitching tends to dominate good hitting, and so I don't know.
Let me ask you this question, all right?
It's concerning.
In regards to McCann, if I could tell you that your catcher will give you 270 batting average, hit maybe 15 home runs, 70 RBI. Would you take that?
Of course I take that all day.
That's better than anything that we've had in years, not since Alex Avila went to the All-Star game. That's kind of what you're looking at. James McCann, there's a reason they didn't bring Alex Avila back. There is a reason. It's because James McCann is that good. This guy has the potential to be one of the best catchers in all of baseball. I think his step in his development going forward, I think that says a lot too. That's going to have a lot to do with how this team does going forward.
McCann and Castellanos, they have to take the next step, be more consistent, get up there to 275, 280 hitters, drive in runs, and don't be those automatic outs, because Castellanos and McCann were streaky hitters. When they got on a roll, they were driving in runs, and the offense was purring smoothly. But when they struggled, oh my gosh, it seemed like we couldn't get any runs across. It seemed like scoring runs was such a challenge last year. So they're going to be a top-heavy lineup, and they can mix and match if things do end up not working out with that first lineup. But this lineup, again, the Detroit Tigers 2016 edition, has a lot of potential, and it's going to be fun to see early on how this is going to shake up and how these guys are going to gel together, and how that starting pitching roster is going to look. But I think that we asked on our Twitter page at Detroit Podcast, which player of the Killer Jays, we said Justin Upton, JD, Justin Verlander, which player do you think needs to have a great season in order for the Tigers to have success and maybe get to the World Series and get that elusive World Series ring? Overwhelming margin, the vote was tallied up, and over about 75% of people said Justin Verlander has to be the guy night in, night out, each performance that he goes out there on the mound, has to give a solid effort and has to have that bounce back year. And if he's not on this year, the majority of the people that responded on our poll at Detroit Podcast felt like if Justin Verlander's not clicking, this team ain't going anywhere. You believe that? Because I do believe that the starting pitching, Zimmerman, Verlander, Anibal Sanchez, have to lead this team, and they have to be a dominating force in order for this team to advance in the postseason. Because offense can be neutralized, but if you get great starting pitching from those top three guys led by Zimmerman and Verlander, you have a chance.
I agree with you 100%. I agree with everybody on our Twitter page. Justin Verlander is a key for this defensive lineup, because if you remember when this team was doing its best and was its most dangerous, Justin Verlander was its stopper. He was the guy who would go in there when they were sitting there on a losing streak or they needed a big win. He was the guy who would go in there and he would deliver that night in, night out whenever he was starting, you could always pencil in a W for Justin Verlander. You go out there, he'd sit there and basically give you 2-hit ball, 3-hit ball, and you guys could come away with a win as long as you could push a run across, maybe 2 runs. And you're right. As the season progresses, as you work your way into the colder months of September, October, and into the beginning of November, if we're still lucky enough to be playing then, the bats slow down. The bats get a little bit colder as the weather kind of milds out, and you need that dominant pitching. You need a guy like Verlander to be able to go in there and be healthy and give you at least 7 to 8 innings. And that's basically the way Kansas City did it. Kansas City played 6-inning ball. They would get their starting pitcher would give all they asked. Hey, give us 6 innings, maybe 7. If you can do it, night in, night out, we're going to turn it over to our bullpen. So having a solid starting pitcher and having a bullpen that can come in and carry you, I mean, it could spell World Series for you. I mean, it's been done in the past. It's been done as recently as last year.
Yeah, and I don't know if I think that Justin Verlander is going to be a consistent 7-inning guy because he's always has issues out of the gate with high pitch counts and things like that. Now, he, in the past, could go for 120. I don't know if that's going to be key for him to, be able to go deeper in games because I think they should keep him around 100 and 110 pitches nowadays because the more wear and tear on an older pitcher, the more likelihood he could break down. So I just need him to be solid for 6. Keep him in the game, keep the average runs to 2 to 3 each outing, and then, give the team a chance to win. I think that will be the case. Not letting him go 7, 8 innings, throwing 120, 25 pitches, even if he wants to. You want to allow him the chance to be peaking at the right time, which is at the postseason, which is when we need him to have the success. So, yeah, I agree. Justin Verlander has to have a good year. The offense has to, peak at the right time. And then I guess the biggest key is everybody stays healthy. If everybody stays healthy and this team goes into the postseason and can get on that run, I think then you have a really good, solid chance to go in there and say, you know what? We can do some damage if everybody's going in healthy. You lose Sanchez, you lose someone like a Victor or a Miguel Cabrera for a long period of time, you might not even get to the Central.
Don't minimize what this bullpen means to this team either. You're right. Health is a key factor, but this bullpen has to be good. It has to be good. All the improvements, all the pieces they brought in, these guys have to perform.
I think they tried to mitigate the bullpen by saying, you know what, if we just get more runs, then we can kind of have easier bullpen.
Isn't that the Dave Dombrowski philosophy?
I
right
think
there?
That's what they did.
A lot. I think what they were. I think you're partially right, but I think they've gone out and they've made some nice acquisitions.
Not bad guys.
A lot is gonna really depend on Francisco Rodriguez. Because you got to remember he's an older player. His numbers have been declining. If he can come in here and he can give you some solid ball in the 9th inning, I think you're going to be okay.
Boy, I can't wait. I can't wait for this season upcoming. How hopeful are you? You excited that, the way this is kind of shaped up? It looks to be a fun summer coming up in 2016.
Yeah, I mean, with Tiger Fest kicking off, I was at work on Saturday and Sunday this past weekend, and with everything that was going on at Tiger Fest, I was sitting there basically working for for WWJ, and they were just back and forth, in and out of Tiger Fest, and it got me excited. I was like, you know what? This is the first kickoff for baseball. This is the big deal right here. All these signings and all this, but Tiger Fest is what really kind of sends it all into overdrive and really gets you hyped because in about a month they're going to be down in Florida. They're going to be working at spring training. You're going to start seeing some spring training games coming up here real shortly, maybe 6 weeks. And then after that, man, it's, opening day, and we already know what happens on opening day.
Yeah, fun stuff, fun times. We'll share some more memories and get some more interaction in terms of what the heck are we going to do this year to kick off the 2016 version. I mean, a lot of people are like, wow, there aren't too many towns that have opening days like the Detroit Tigers. It's a fun time, and we're right around the corner now when pitchers and catchers are going to report, and spring training is just around the corner, man. I can't wait to break down these Tigers and see what they're going to do, man. It's going to be a fun time.
Yeah, I'm excited, man. I think this might be the best roster on paper that we have seen in quite some time, and one that will make a lot of waves this year. I really do see them possibly getting to the World Series, and once you get there, it's all about health and it's all about pitching. I know having a batting lineup like we've got is incredible, but time and time again, it's been proven and shown that you need good starting pitching and you need a bullpen that you can rely on. And if they can get to the World Series, I think that they've made enough changes to where they will be in contention for a World Series championship.
All right, stay with us. We're going to take a quick break, give our love to our sponsors. We'll be right back. Doc and Jock, Detroit Sports Podcast Network, episode 129.
Doc and Jock here for Fanatic U. If you're looking for some sweet sports swag and you love your Detroit teams, and I mean you really love your Detroit teams, you got to check out fanaticu.com. Check out fanaticu.com. Use promo code DSP. Save 15% even off the clearance items. And get the coolest gear out there and rock your Red Wings shirt. Rock your Lions shirt. Rock your Piston apparel. Wear it till the wheels fall off. Michigan State, you know what? They got it too. Check out Fanaticu. They have 6 locations all over Metro Detroit. Check them out. fanaticu.com.
Yeah, we coming now. Come on. Yeah, that's right. We put it down. It's like a family in here, just a little disabled. Putting it down, we lay them out on the table. Yeah. Who's in the house? The brothers in the house. Gotta turn it on out, let you know what we about. Kinda like Cain and Abel, a bit unstable. Don't be breaking the brain, break the whole damn table.
All right. Thank you for staying with us, Detroit Sports Podcast Network. Appreciate all the support, all the ways everyone's been downloading our project through Stitcher, Podomatic, the DetroitSportsNation.com website. Appreciate all the support, all the great interviews, all the great podcasts we've been doing. Great things are happening for the network, and we greatly appreciate all the support. All right, cuz this is what we call the Doctors in Session. I'm very curious as to what you got for me this week.
But to be the man, you gotta beat the man. And I'm saying, woo, right here. I'm the man. Woo!
So normally I ask you 3 questions. I'm throwing that stuff out the door. This one's jam-packed. I got a ton of questions for you here.
Spitfire,
all right?
baby. Give it to me. What do you got?
All right. So this is something that I actually wanted us to sit there and break off into an individual topic, and maybe we can do this going forward after National Signing Day. But what are your thoughts on Michigan and their recent recruiting practices?
Yeah, a lot of talk about Harbaugh. This is what you get when you're the big dog on campus. A lot of people are looking at your practices, and Jim Harbaugh is going away from the norm, from what Michigan's used to. Michigan is now stepping up with what the big dogs do, and I have no problem with it. A lot of people are complaining like Harbaugh's not honoring his commitments. This isn't the Michigan way, and Harbaugh does not care about any of that kind of mess. His job is to go in the toughest situation with the most pressure, get the best guys. The reason why you guys didn't have success at Michigan under Rich Rod and Brady Hoke was you gave all these commitments, and when the guys that you maybe could have found that were better, you honored those commitments, and those guys just didn't pan out. Listen, college football at the highest level is a big boy business. So when you got a chance to recruit a top 10 guy and you recruited someone maybe in the mid-50s to 100s, hey, man, you know, you're going to go. Harbaugh has shown that he's going to go with the guys that are ranked the best, and I have no problem with that. Now, on the other end, the same thing happens now with the players. What the players can do is just don't commit so early. My God, you want to commit 5 years beforehand and wonder why your commitment's not looked at after 5 years of training. You might evolve into a different kind of player. So just take advantage of the rules that are there. Commit late so that you get as much information as you can and you can see what's going on out there to make the best position possible. A lot of people got their panties in a bunch because, you know, they're going with the old school, hey, you gave me your word, so you got to honor it. But unfortunately, in big-time sports, there is no loyalty. There is no nothing. It's all about winning and who the coaches and the program feel is the best player out there. And if you're that guy, you'll be on the team. I have no problem with it. The SEC does it. The big-time college programs all do it. Michigan State has done it, not maybe as often or maybe as publicized at Michigan. I have no problem with it. Do your thing. If that's what it takes to get a title, everyone would do it. I would too.
You got to realize what Jim Harbaugh is trying to do too. He's trying
Number
to
one.
sit there.
That's it.
He wants to be number one, but
That's
what he's
it.
trying to do to get there to be number one is he's trying to make his roster the best it can be, to where every single day his players are competing against each other to sit there and try to be number one, be the number one quarterback, be the number one offensive lineman, be the number one defensive lineman, be the number one wide receiver. He is sitting there and he's making it so battle tested and so hard on his own guys in his own program that, yeah, when there's a guy who may be a 2 or a 3-star recruit, even a 4-star recruit, if he can get a 5-star recruit over you and he thinks you're going to fit much better in his program, he's going to go that way. And you're absolutely right. What the real problem is here, it's the way the NCAA has set this up. The NCAA has created all these loopholes and all these problems themselves by not either A, allowing players to sign early, or B, sitting there putting coaches in these positions where they can go out and they can keep recruiting guys right up until National Signing Day. Yeah. So if the NCAA doesn't like this, or if you don't like this, the rules have to change, because Jim Harbaugh is not breaking the rules. He is playing within them. And you're absolutely right. The SEC does this all the time. Why do you think Alabama's so good? Ohio State does this all the time. Why do you think Ohio State's so good? All the big-time programs, you're absolutely right. They do this all the time. And this is what makes them so good. So he's just playing by the rules. Yes, he's a little bit weird. Yes, he's climbing trees and playing sleepover with people, which blows my mind. But hey, if it works, go ahead and do it, man. Whatever makes Michigan better, do it.
Yeah,
just don't cheat.
And I think the age of Twitter now, all the commits are like, I decommitted from Michigan. Well, okay, fine. Why are you telling us that?
Yeah.
Go out and get your paper and go out and then spend some time at the gym and get your letters that you are accepting. Hey, Michigan says you're not going to be a starter as a freshman. Go ahead then, make your decision and keep it quiet. You don't have to go publicize everything along the way because it just sheds light on the system and it just sheds light on your attitude. Hey, Weaver got 6 more letters saying, hey, 6 more opportunities. I thought potentially he could have took that extra redshirt year, developed, and stayed at Michigan, but he decided that, hey, I deserve to play, and that's fine. You don't have to publicize it. I just think with Twitter and the new wave of athletes that are out there, they just want to tell everybody everything all the time.
And what also makes things difficult is, like in Eric Swinson's case, Jim Harbaugh can't come out and say what actually happened. He can't talk about it.
Right.
He's stuck. He's in kind of a rock and a hard place. So now his name is getting smeared and his recruiting practices are getting discussed. But Eric Swinson can come out and tell his side of the story. Remember, there's always 2 sides of the story, and in the middle somewhere is the truth.
You got it.
That's what always happens. All right, moving on. Is Cam Newton the new design for the modern day quarterback? I know he's probably the most fun guy out there to watch in the NFL, but is the way he's built, it's not prototypical at all. The guy's a monster. He's probably the biggest dude out there. He can play every position. But is this the new design for the modern day quarterback?
I mean, he's playing great. When Kelvin Benjamin went down for the year with the season-ending injury, everyone thought, okay,
Everybody was like, Carolina's
done. And they come out with a 15-1 season. He's made Ted Ginn Jr. a household name. He's continued to, really shock and amaze with his development. Yeah, I don't think it's a new design. I just think that he's playing at a great level in terms of, hey, he's now staying more in the pocket, and he has the one intangible that I think you need if you're going to be successful with the defenses that are being run nowadays. He has the ability, if the play breaks down, to be elusive, and at 6'6" in his size, he can make plays with his feet and get those extra yards. But what did he do this year, and what have you seen now in the last couple of years in terms of his evolution? He's passing the ball better. He's more accurate.
In the pocket.
He's hanging in the pocket. He's reading the defense. It's not all he's doing is playing the quarterback position with the ability to extend plays with his feet. That's what I think the Lions need. With the way they played the last 2 years, if you had Cam Newton, oh Lord, you would have had numbers galore with Golden Tate, with Megatron. He probably could have even made Ebron with the way he's been playing. But I just think that this is a style of quarterback that can be emulated, but it's tough to do because, like I said, you have to have size, speed, and the motivation to not always rely on your legs when the play breaks down. Because if you see the highlight packages of the NFC title game, he made some great throws, he made some great plays, and he was able to make some plays with his feet. And that's that's what you need at the quarterback position. Not turn the ball over, make key plays, and hey, if the play breaks down, you can extend it with some elusiveness and keep it going. So if you can find a player like that, like a Cam Newton, the Lions might be still looking for one, then you go find him. But Cam Newton has proven everybody wrong, and he's having fun along the way, which is a great thing. He's a prototype that I think a lot of people should go for.
2 things. Is it safe to say he's a much more athletic Big Ben, and
Exactly.
is he a much more fun guy than probably anybody else
Of course.
that's been in the playoffs this entire season?
He's having a great old time. I mean, look at that offense. I mean, he has really weapons that you would say, oh, really? On other teams wouldn't do all that much. He's making guys, Ted Ginn Jr., he's got, what he's got that a lot of people really want to find in football? He's got that swagger. That, hey, we're going to show up. If we ball out, and like we said on our podcast, that if Carolina balls out and plays A+ ball, they're going to roll you off the field. And he knows it. And he's like, hey, put the pressure on me. You guys have all talked and hated on me. I mean, you had like at least a dozen reporters come out in the last 5 years and said that Cam Newton wouldn't be even on an NFL roster in 2016. He's proven them all wrong. He's evolved. He's gotten better. And he's proven his worth. I mean, he was number 1 pick, right? And this is what a number 1 pick should evolve into. It doesn't take 10 years to evolve into what Cam Newton did.
Yeah, I think his maturation has been incredible. All right, moving on. Now we're going to go right into basketball. There's a whole lot that's been going around the association here. How shocked were you with the David Blatt firing?
Not surprised that much. I mean,
they were a first-place team. When he got fired, I think they were 33-11.
Yeah. He has. I believe now some of the coaches have come to his defense, like Rick Carlisle, Stan Van Gundy.
Stan Van Gundy was murdering this whole thing.
Rick Carlisle said that David Blatt's got one of the top 2 winning percentages of all time early in his career. But in the end, I know the game, and you heard rumblings. It was quite obvious in the finals last year. It's quite obvious early this year that if you don't get into the good graces of LeBron James, then there's a likely scenario you're going to be having issues. And so there were times when there would be huddles, and there would be times when LeBron would be off to the side, or he'd be kind of doing his own thing, calling his own meetings. I think there was even footage of David Blatt coming into a sideline huddle that LeBron was in, and LeBron pushed David Blatt like 5 feet back. I saw it on ESPN. I'm like, okay, you know what's going on here. So I wasn't surprised that LeBron James had probably a big deal with this, and I wasn't surprised that he was fired. I would have said the timing would have been a little bit off. They probably would have waited again till an elimination in the playoffs this year to do it. I didn't think he was going to last past this year, in my opinion.
On the heels of what you just said, LeBron James has just come out and said, it sucks to be labeled a coach killer. People want to throw my name in the dirt. How much of a reason, if you had to put a percentage on it, do you believe LeBron was for this firing? And what do you think was the main reason for the firing?
Well, the general manager has come out and done some interviews. He said that the reason that, and some things that you saw, was they got rolled by Golden State. They got destroyed.
Everybody gets rolled by Golden State,
exactly.
except for the Pistons.
But the general manager said they weren't playing with swagger. So the style of play wasn't appealing to the general manager, and they felt like a change was needed in order to take that next step. Does the
general manager realize what he has on his team?
Exactly.
Because you've got 3 guys who have to have the ball at all times.
Exactly.
How many balls are on the court at once?
Yeah, 1.
Exactly. So you got 3 guys who need the ball to be able to create and distribute and do what they have to do. How are you going to do that? You can't spread the wealth.
So
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No.
I don't mean to interrupt you.
No, I agree with your points exactly. You know, David Blatt's in the toughest position because you got the best player in the world on your team, and you got to make him happy, and you got to have the team playing a certain way. And so, you know, of course, LeBron didn't get Blatt fired directly. Like, yeah, he walks into the office and is like, hey, I want this guy gone. No, but they ask him, the question that the general manager likely asked LeBron is, do you see this team winning the title under this current regime? Names not included. Keep it in the hypothetical realm. And LeBron probably is like, no. And simple as that. I mean, he doesn't get the coach fired. You know, we're arguing semantics. He doesn't go and say, I want this guy gone. They ask LeBron, are you happy with the direction of this team? He's probably like, no, I think we need a da-da-da-da-da. And they go, okay. Any smart general manager reads between the lines and goes, okay, the guy's gone. Period. That's simple as that. That's what happened. I'll tell you that's what happened. 99.9% accuracy, that's what happened. LeBron did not say that he was disappointed in Blatt. He just did not probably endorse him when the question was asked in that way.
All right, I agree with you totally. I think you're right on. Moving on from, I guess, the Midwest to the West Coast, what are your thoughts on the Blake Griffin situation?
Man, oh man.
The dude's up in a Waffle House in Toronto. It wasn't a Waffle House, but...
Blake Griffin is a typical player nowadays in this era where he's got all this talent, he's got all this potential, yet he's letting personal issues and personal problems affect, you know, not only his team, but his own career. I mean, the guy should be, with that talent, should be on a team that's contending a lot more. But, you know, again, he's got personal issues. He doesn't have, you know, the maturity to be able to handle regular anger management. I mean, how are you going to go and punch out an equipment manager from your own team? Dude, you get mad at someone, you maybe have a couple words and you walk away. And of course, you know, you're going to throw a punch with your hands. What's the one couple tools that you need as a basketball player? Your legs and your hands. So you're going to go start swinging multiple times against a guy on your own team, and you're going to be out because of it. That's shameful. You cannot let that happen. He's got to be more mature. He's got to think more about just himself and his, you know, this has to do with machismo, maybe a couple drinks here and there. You know, they just needed more guys to step in the way and say, hey, man, think about what you're doing. Think about what on earth it is that you're going to do, try to hit a guy. Come on now. He needs to mature, and it's a disgrace. If I'm Doc Rivers, I'm like, oh, dude, can I win with this guy? You got to start thinking like that now. I'm thinking about moving him.
Yeah.
I don't want a guy like that on my team.
But you got to realize, too, like he's the most talented guy on that Los Angeles Clippers team. You're right. He does come with a high knucklehead factor. But if you were to move anybody, wouldn't it be Chris Paul? Chris Paul's got like a year left on his deal. You could probably get the most bang for your buck with a guy like Chris Paul if there's a team out there looking for a point guard. And it got to remember, Chris Paul's still considered one of the top 10 point guards in the league right now. So you're right. You're absolutely right. He is a knucklehead, and he does come with a lot of knucklehead factor. And I believe this was all over either Blake's ex-girlfriend or current girlfriend or something stupid. And the thing is, these guys are supposed to be boys. You know, boys can fight and boys, you know, do things like that. But at the same
Not
point,
in public, not on the road.
right? At the same
Best
point,
behavior.
dude. I mean, dude, seriously, you're a professional basketball player. You do need your hands, like you were saying. Like, how do you make your living? And this team has been counting on you to come back because he was supposed to come back on Monday from a leg injury. And now you go and you ruin your hand, so now you're out for another 4 to 6 weeks? Come on, dude. What are you doing? But you're absolutely right. I don't think trading him is the right thing to do here. There has to be some type of a discipline that has to occur. If this team, I don't think the Clippers are going to win anything. Do you?
No.
I don't think they have enough talent. I mean, your two big stars are Blake and Chris Paul. And then after that, it's who? Can I get some dial tone, please?
Yeah, no kidding. Who else is on that team?
It's there. That's what you've got on that team.
Yeah.
So if you were to trade a guy, if you were to sit there and you were maybe to look at doing a rebuild on the fly, trade deadline comes around, there's a potential team out there who needs a point guard, who wants a stud point guard like a Chris Paul. Trade Chris Paul away, try to get a couple draft picks, try to get a couple guys, a couple pieces, and maybe rebuild around Blake. But Blake really needs to grow up. A lot of this is just knuckleheads, just being knuckleheads, man. You got to grow up. Not good.
That was a fun round of Docs and Sessions, sir. That
It was a
good.
lot.
A lot of stuff going
Covered
on.
a lot, man.
Yes, sir.
You're king of the couch for a reason.
Yes, sir. Stay with us. After the break, we're going to talk about the Detroit team that plays basketball.
The vaunted Pistons.
The infuriating Pistons, the team that you watch night in, night out. You don't know what you're going to get. And it's fun. It's interesting to watch, but also infuriating. Stay with us. Lots of basketball talk up next. Detroit Sports Podcast, Doc and Jock, episode 129. I want to tell everyone out there about DetroitSportsNation.com. They're a great website, and they've been very supportive to all the shows on the Detroit Sports Podcast Network. They host all the podcasts. They have great writers that cover all the Detroit teams, all the college teams. Check out their website and support those who support us. DetroitSportsNation.com. The collaboration has been excellent, and it's helped us to continue to grow and have great guests take phone calls. So our collaboration with the Detroit Sports Nation has really been successful, and support those who support us. DetroitSportsNation.com. All right, sir. I know you've been peeking in with these Pistons, and I know that we said, listen, let's just watch what they do on the road and see how they play and finish off the road trip. They played great against the Jazz. Again, up and down game, but they came through in the fourth quarter. And when you watch the Pistons, you get a sense, okay, this is what we got here. We got a team that's going to be a little bit inconsistent. We got a team that if Reggie Jackson and Andre Drummond aren't clicking 100% on both the offensive and defensive side, they struggle a little bit. And you got a team that is young, and we need more patience in terms of, their evolution on defense and their communication and their togetherness on both sides of the ball. So you got a team now that's 3 games above 500, and they're a team that when you watch them, you go, okay, you see that if they play A-plus basketball on both the offensive and defensive sides of the court, they can compete. Look what they did versus Golden State at the Palace. But then you go out there and you have games where they don't show up on defense, where there's lulls offensively, where they don't give effort. Some of those games are on the back-to-backs, you get it, where they're scheduling losses. But what the coach is seeing and what he's verbalizing to us and the public is the effort, and the words that he's using are, when we play bad and our efforts is terrible, he said the effort is deplorable. And he said that I shouldn't have to, with NBA players, go out there and have to motivate them to try and give 1,000% effort. And you could say that's the mark of a young team, but I would say, you know what, at this point in time, you're halfway through the year. You know that each game is swinging your spot in the East from 7th to 4th that much. So each game you should be coming out balls to the wall and trying to play your best basketball. So I just want to see from these Pistons, I just want to see them put forth more effort on the defensive side of the ball. And when they have these games, when they go out there and when they play, to give supreme effort. When your coach is out there calling you out, then that's what it is. And you see it too, because they don't check out on, they don't help out on defense. They get out rebounded, and you start seeing a team that, okay, if they just put in 10% more effort, they'd be a lot better. So I just want to see more effort night in, night out, and get to a level where they can play like they did versus Golden State more times than not. So these games where they just take nights off are really ridiculous.
You're absolutely right. Everything you said, you're spot on. It's all about effort, and it's all about handling things on the defensive side of the ball. You can go out and you can manhandle the very best team in the NBA right now in the Golden State Warriors, and then you turn around and you lose a game to the Chicago Bulls at home.
Oh, that was a tough game.
I mean, seriously? And by the way, you've handled the Bulls. They've been close games, but you've handled the Bulls every time you've played the Bulls this year. And then you sit there and you basically get drubbed by them. So yeah, it's all effort. It's exactly what this is. It is all about effort. It's all about taking care of things on the defensive side of the ball. This is how Stan Van Gundy's teams are built, right? He usually likes to have a very large big man. He likes to have a point guard who can sit there and shoot the ball and dribble the ball. He likes taking 3-point shots. That's what leads to your big man getting astronomical amounts of rebounds. So he's got all these pieces, but it has to translate on the defensive side of the ball. If there is no effort on the defensive side of the ball, or if they're not putting in 100% on the defensive side of the ball, you're going to have games where you sit there and you get shellacked by the Pelicans. You're going to get manhandled by Denver. I mean, that game in the end looks a lot closer than what it really was. I mean, you have to show up and you have to play good basketball night in, night out. And you're right. These guys are professionals. I know that some of these guys are 2, 3, 4 years removed from college, so they're very young and they probably don't get it, but you have to show up night in, night out, and you have to try. And that's what it is. And you're right. Some of these back-to-back games, they've proven that they can win on back-to-back nights. They've done it. They did it in Portland. That was a game that they were supposed to lose. They came back in the fourth quarter. Dominated. You can do this. And you're right. Each loss, each win swings your playoff positioning anywhere from being just outside of the top 8 all the way up to getting home court advantage. It's amazing. It's just how bad the East is. You are a team in the East that should be a little bit more dominant than what you are, but you're too inconsistent right now. You haven't figured out what you're doing on the defensive side of the ball. And then when you come out offensively and you try to push and you try to do things on the offensive side of the ball and things aren't clicking right away, they sit there and they kind of go into this panic mode. That's when Reggie Jackson starts throwing up balls, tries passing balls in between lanes that aren't there. You're bringing guys off the bench that aren't contributing right away, and you got a guy like Stanley Johnson who then starts pressing. Andre can't sit there and hit free throws to save his damn life. So it becomes kind of a cluster then, and you just gotta work harder on the defensive side of the ball because your defense then translates into offense.
So then do you potentially get upset at guys like Reggie Jackson, Andre, Brandon Jennings, who came out, I see on the sheet here, with some comments regarding leadership? I think when you have a team that doesn't have consistency in terms of effort night in, night out, especially on defense, that might point to a team that doesn't have a clear-cut leader and a guy that can get in there and get these guys riled up night in, night out to play. Now, you could say, who on this team, who on this roster should be the leader, and it's tough to say Reggie Jackson, Andre Drummond because of their youth, but a guy like Brandon Jennings should be a guy now that he's a veteran leader. He's got potential. He's got good. He's not a bum. He's a guy that has played in some marquee matchups and has done some things in this league. So he should be a guy that should go out there and lead this troop and get them to play night in, night out consistently.
There's only one problem with that. And what you're referencing is Brandon Jennings came out last week and said there's a lot of talk in this locker room, but no one is leading this team. And you're absolutely right. Brandon Jennings
should be him.
Brandon Jennings could be the leader of this team, but he's your 6th man. He's your 7th man. He's only been here for 5, 10 games since he's come back from injury. He hasn't been here the whole time. How are you going to put a role? Now he's a role player in as your leader.
Well, he could be a guy with experience that's been not only on the court but behind the scenes. Hey, getting this team going, getting behind guys in practice, saying, "Hey, this is not what we expect night in, night out." A guy that can motivate these guys to put in that effort.
If you're Reggie Jackson, are you listening to Brandon Jennings?
Yeah.
You are?
Yes.
You are. You're the starter of this team. You're basically the face of this franchise with Andre Drummond. You're listening to the guy who just blew out his Achilles, who's been playing for 10 games, and in stretches, he's looked really good. You're listening to that guy, the guy who gets maybe 15 minutes a game while you're sitting there carrying the load somewhere near 30.
So what I'm hearing you say then is you think that Reggie Jackson believes in his mind that he's the leader, but when in fact the product on the court indicates he's not doing a good job of it?
What I'm saying is somebody from that starting lineup has to take command. Somebody, one of those top 5 guys have to come in. You're absolutely right. I would love it if Brandon Jennings was the leader because Brandon Jennings has been through all of it. All of it. He sat there, he went to a team where he was the guy, where he was thrust into the position to be the leader, didn't want it, ended up leaving, came to Detroit, found success here, and you've seen what that translated to in that 10-game stretch there before he blew out his ankle. And now he comes back and he's willing to bite the bullet because he wants to be on this team, he wants to be a winner, He's willing to sit there and say, hey, you know what? Whatever's best for the team, I'll take that back seat. He's sitting there trying to lead by example and by showing that he's willing to bite the bullet for the betterment of the team. The thing is, you need somebody on the floor who's on the court 25, 30 minutes a night to sit there and be able to get into other guys' faces and say, hey, you need to man up. You got to stop playing so soft down low. Go get those rebounds. Hey, I'm open. You need to pass the ball to me. Hey, get open. I'm going to get you the ball. You need a guy like that who's on the court more often than not. Brandon Jennings isn't on the court enough. And you're absolutely right. In the locker room, he can be the guy to get you motivated. He can be the guy to get you pumped up, get you to want to come out there and want to do things. But how does that translate when you're on the floor? He's not on the floor enough to be able to sit there and grab you and pull you over after you just committed your third dumb foul of the game and say, hey, get your mind right. Let's go.
As of this podcast releasing, the Pistons will have played the 76ers at home. But look at this upcoming schedule. Friday versus the Cavaliers. Then you go Saturday on the road to the Raptors. Then you got Monday the 1st. They're playing the Nets. Then the Celtics, the Knicks, and then the Pacers, again with the Raptors. So you got a stretch of games that could go really well for the Pistons, or a stretch of games that could be a catastrophe if they don't play at their peak potential. So each and every game, I mean, I'm hoping as of this recording that the Pistons would have defeated the 76ers, but it seems like, whenever the Pistons play them and the Sixers don't have any wins, they get their half a dozen victories, and a quarter of them are against the Pistons. So, the tough part is that when you watch a team like the Pistons, that's why they make you so mad, is they're inconsistent. You don't know night in, night out what you're going to get. And so I would like to kind of stabilize that and get to see a team that can play solid on both ends of the court. So now for you going forward, are you thinking this is a team that could be one and done in the postseason, a team that could make the postseason, or do you think we got to wait and see a little bit longer in terms of does anyone step up, or does this team continue on this kind of herky-jerky, win one, lose one kind of situation and finish the year maybe 2 or 3 games above 500?
I expect that as they come out of the All-Star break, I think that leader will have emerged. He'll have to. Stan Van Gundy's going to have to push all the right buttons and force that leader to emerge. I think we'll know who the leader is. I think that'll help stabilize a lot of what's going on. They'll get tougher on defense. That'll translate to better offense. I think they'll start winning more than losing because, they're really up and down right now. At that point, I think we have to take a step back and look at who they're going to be matched up against, whether or not they'll crack that top 4 and kind of go from there. Because right now, where they're situated, as we're recording, they're situated at 7th. They could possibly be 6th when this drops. It's just the way this works right now. It's how close they are in the standings with Miami. So if that happens, if they're 7th, they're playing Toronto. Do I think they can beat Toronto? I think they could. Could they beat Atlanta if they're 6th? I think they could. If they fall to 8 and they play Cleveland, I think Cleveland's going to be a much tougher matchup for them to get by. And it'll be much more difficult, and I don't think they win a 7-game series against
That's
Cleveland.
why they should have the motivation to get a home court, because this team, with the support of the fans at the Palace, they can play solid brand of basketball and get to, get some wins in the postseason. So,
and you could play a young Boston team, which I don't think is very good.
I think the East could make some great first-round matchups, and I'm hoping to see the Pistons in it. And I think they just need to, really, really hunker down and hopefully find a way to mitigate this whole Haka Andre situation. That whole scene in Houston was a disgrace, and it's really kind of embarrassing for Andre Drummond too. You got to make your free throws. We're not talking about 90% here. Just try to get it up to at least 70, 75.
Dude, why don't they just do the grandma shot? Who cares? Who cares if it looks ridiculous, and who cares if they laugh at you? If you're a big man and you can hit 60 to 70% of your shots from the free throw line,
people say it's tough because of his hands, and big men have a hard time making free throws, but he's made it, they say, a ton in practice. So a lot of people are thinking this is a mental thing. And, oh, man, if it's a mental thing, it's tough to make free throws in clutch situations with all the fans, yelling, screaming, and all that kind of stuff. I get it. It's not easy to do. I've tried it. I can barely get 3 out of 10 most of the time, but I'm short. So I don't know how it would be if I practiced night in, night out, 8 hours a day. But you can't replicate it, with a ton of fans and all that noise. But, Stan Van might just have to get him out of the game in those situations when, you got guys trying to foul him 10, 12 times in a short period of time. You got to get him out of the game,
It then becomes hard to run what you've practiced.
Yeah.
Because you're, as a coach in Stan Van's position, all you're doing is you're just moving bodies around. You're like, hey, so let's put you in because you can hit a foul shot a lot better than this guy, and hopefully something happens here. I don't know. It just becomes it's it's bad for the game is what it is.
It's bad for
really
the game.
is.
It's tough. And so, well, we'll keep watching the Pistons. I like what I'm seeing when they play well. They can hit the shots. They pass the ball effectively. They play together. And you can see this is a together unit. They don't give up in some situations. They're down, and they keep fighting. Reggie Jackson can heat up. But when it's going south, my God, can it go south pretty quickly? And the shots don't fall. And they look like they don't know how to put the ball in the basket on any level. When the shots not falling, oh my gosh, you get those less than 40% shooting nights, and you're like, oh God, is this one of those nights again? But the good thing is, most games they're in competitively. It's just now we have to get them to play solidly on both sides of the ball. We'll keep watching, and hopefully they'll turn it around and really put some wins together and string them together. That's what they need. All right, sir. That was very fun, man.
That was good.
We blinked, and that was that. A lot of good stuff. And now next week, we get a chance to dig in and watch the Super Bowl, and one that's kind of leaning towards, the young, brass, up-and-coming young buck quarterback versus the old, established vet who may be going out in his last hurrah in Peyton Manning. So the Peyton Manning, Cam Newton story will be ever evolving. The matchups in terms of, hey, a super strong defense versus an elite offense. I like the matchup. I think we were right on in terms of looking at what potentially could happen. The Super Bowl matchup is going to be fun to talk about, as well as all the news and notes in Detroit sports. Ooh, man, I can't wait for next week.
So at this point, you lead in the picks.
I do.
46-44. We both got everything wrong last week.
Yes.
Super Bowl will count for 5 points.
Okay.
Do you want to, because we have the Pro Bowl this week, which I don't think either one of us is going to watch.
I'm not watching the Pro Bowl.
No. Do you want to put a 3-point wager on the Pro Bowl? You can either pick
No.
who is it? You can either pick Michael Irving's team or you can pick Jerry Rice's team without knowing anything. Just throw it out there.
I have no idea. No, I'm not watching the Pro Bowl. I'm not into that.
Well, let's put a 2-point. Let's put a 2-point wager on it.
Go ahead, then.
Because you can at that point. I mean, I'm either totally done or I tie it up.
Well, the strategy is you pick first, so and naturally I would have to just follow what you do.
All right.
To the strategy. So I'm not watching the Pro Bowl.
I'm not watching it either, but we can still get a score from it. So we can see either I can tie this up or you go ahead 4 points.
Well, we don't even know the teams as
I know, which just makes it so much more interesting.
Okay.
It's a blind guess.
All right. Go ahead. Who do you got?
All right. As a child, I used to love Jerry Rice a lot.
Okay.
So I'll just go with Team Jerry Rice.
Okay. And for the sake of fun, I will take Team Michael Irvin. Okay. He's a braggadocious fella. I'll be fair, not pick what you pick. Not knowing the teams, we'll have fun with it.
I have no idea.
Just random blind bet. I see
exactly. And the thing is, I think Irving won. Did Irving win last year? I think he might have been the winner last year.
Oh, yeah?
I think so.
All right, so
I have no idea, man. It's a complete mess. It's the Pro Bowl. Who watches this?
The edict for you is to stay safe and not hurt yourself any further in the next week or so before the next recording, okay?
Yeah, that's the goal.
All right, good deal, sir.
Did I sound all lispy on this?
I don't know. I think you sound great.
Oh, okay. Well, if I sounded lispy, let us know.
All right, for the Jock, Adam Strozinski, I am the Doc, John Macaroon. This has been episode 129, Detroit Sports Podcast. Thank you for everyone for your support. We'll find you guys very soon. Thank you.
Go Stones. Do I sound weird?
He's an asshole.
Sorry, Detroit. Didn't quite work out.
And all I can say is Detroit Sports Podcast scores.
I hear voices in my head, they counsel me, they understand, they talk to me. They talk to me, they tell me things that I will do, they show me things not to you, they talk to me.